White skin on linen, perfume on my wrist, and the full moon that hangs over, dreams in the mist.
And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio, CBS, and our Fox NBC sports affiliates from coast to coast, as well as those streaming on YouTube. Make sure you check us out and subscribe at the Sports Circus channel on YouTube as well. Back here with Craig Bartock, lead guitarist from Heart. And pretty cool stuff, man. I love the fact that we've got somebody in here for music that I grew up with, and a lot of other people listening right now and watching on television from coast to coast. Tell you what, Craig, this is really a pleasure for everybody. We've had some great comments already. People want to call in. They want to ask you questions because they've got 1,000 of them. What's the most common question that you have to answer?
What is the most common one?
Yeah.
What are Ann and Nancy really like? Would be a real common one. And the answer is they're both wonderfully, well, they're both sisters to me, and if I get into sort of my history with the band, they're both really, really wonderful, easygoing people. They just have this calmness about them, and it's always that way. There's nothing they're very unflappable. They're true rock veterans. So, when there's mistakes on the stage that are made, oftentimes, it could be Ann, it could be Nancy, it could be any of the band members, and we just laugh it off. I mean, we enjoy the mistakes, and we go with the punches, and that's really explains how Ann and Nancy are as people. They're very, very easygoing, soft-spoken, genuinely decent, nice people.
I had the pleasure of meeting, I believe it was Nancy a few years ago. We had talked about this before the show started, and it was backstage in the green room at an Elton John concert here in Las Vegas. A very good demeanor, very even keel, just a good human, not a pretentious person whatsoever. I'll tell you what, from the stage presence that I saw on the Rib Fest back in 2010 in suburban Chicago, it was what I envisioned if I ever sat and spoke with her. I was like, wow, look at this. Here's just a regular human, just like you and I are speaking, same. But it's more impressive is that, look, folks, for all of you that don't know, if you've ever been in the same dialogue with a rock star, just like Craig Bartock, I love saying that, rock star. The fact is, look, we're just people. That's all we do. And just like what you were saying, Craig, as far as making mistakes, look, we record live. We'll air this live. You never know what's going to happen. Something comes out. We don't fix it in the mix. We just leave it go. Whether it's a live broadcast, a recorded show, even if it's recorded, guess what? Everything is live. Mistakes are good because people need to see the human side of the business too. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And getting back to what we were talking about, none of us have really ever sort of bought into that whole showbiz thing. And it's that type of attitude, that whole type of thinking that I'm different. Because of what I do for a living, I've never bought into that. And as a matter of fact, I try to really go out of my way to remind people that I talk to that it's just like, it's just a job like anybody else's job. And it doesn't make me, or it doesn't make me feel like Ann and Nancy or anybody is any more important than anybody else, because we're all down here doing what we're doing, and some of us like it more than others, but we all deserve respect, and we all we shouldn't be judged on necessarily what we do or how many people have seen us or how many records we sold. We should just be judged on who we are. And sometimes it's a struggle because people have expectations. They have expectations, like, like I'll go over to somebody's house and they want to play, like, it's like, oh, you probably want us to put on a Heart record. No, please don't. Please don't. It's like, oh, to me, that's like, what do you do for a living? Oh, you're a doctor. Okay. Do you want to wear a stethoscope and put on a white lab coat while you're talking to me? It's like, no, this is work. And we got into it because we love music, but not buying into the showbiz thing is huge. I mean, because, nobody, some people probably really enjoy being treated differently and being treated, being put on a pedestal. But believe me, it's very, very disingenuous, and it's very shallow.
Right, folks, we're here with Craig Bartock, lead guitarist from Heart, from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band. A big welcome back to our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. All right, so Craig, let me ask you this. If you're sitting in a room and you want someone to play the music on, put some music on, what is it that you want to hear?
Well, I grew up with the British invasion. I mean, that's probably my favorite music. So it can be rather eclectic. I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and I think anybody who's heard my solo music will testify to that. I love it. I love anything that Brian Wilson did. I love like the roots of country music. I love Carter Sisters. I love Hank Williams. Just to me, those Hank Williams is a genius, and I love like Kenny Burrell, that type of like older sort of jazz, like there's a great group that was in the early 60s, mid 60s, called the Peddlers. It's a jazz group. It's a Hammond organ, bass, and drums, and they used one of the Peddler songs in the TV show Breaking Bad. And they did a song called On a Clear Day, and I heard it. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. So I'd never heard of them before. So I went back, and it's like, okay, this music sounds as fresh today as it did when it was recorded in like the late 60s. And it's amazing. So I prefer more eclectic stuff. I'm not particularly crazy about listening to what's currently on the radio, because my job doesn't dictate that I have to follow that anymore. And just sort of, there was a time when I really followed exactly who was on the charts and what was going on. But now, to me, it's less important as to finding what's honest and what's real about music.
Craig, what I have found in my years and years of listening to rock and roll is we have gone into an evolution where there are a lot less skilled vocalists as far as being able to actually sing versus shouting and yelling into a microphone. What do you think about that?
Well, it's true. And the advent of Antares and autotune has posed an interesting dilemma for the music business, because theoretically you can take anybody who can't sing, and you can, with a twist of a knob, you can make them sing perfectly. Now, this can be used slightly, or it can be used to maximum effect, like Cher did on that song "Do You Believe in Love," which was the thing that sort of ushered in that whole sort of auto-tune thing.
Right.
But I have to say, though, nothing really has changed when you think about it. Okay, so if somebody already has a following, they have a TV show, or they have a gazillion followers on Twitter or something like that, they're going to get offered some kind of record deal, and if their talent is marginal, they're going to make up for it elsewhere. That hasn't changed, though, since the 60s. You think about, like Gary Lewis and the Playboys, or Shelley Fabre, or anybody, like Paul Peterson from Father Knows Best. Everybody was making records back then, and even if they had marginal talent, what they would do instead of having auto tune, they would just have session singers come in and shadow or basically sing the same thing and blend in the lead singer's voice. So there's always been,
I did not know,
gimmickry to make people sound better than they really are. It's nothing's changed, but now it's just done on a computer.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's very interesting. I mean, you think of blending voices. It makes all the sense in the world. So here's Joe Blow, who can't sing a lick, but at the same time, boy, he sure sounds great, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the way it is. It's just like, for example, for the first Monkees album, when they were doing they had all their hits, that would be 67. With Last Train to Clarksville and all those songs, they weren't singing any of the background vocals. It was Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, the two guys who wrote most of those songs. They were going into and just, hey, Mickey Dolenz, come in and do this vocal and we'll see you later. We've got the session guys, we've got the background singers, and we just need you to do this, sing because you're on the TV show. So
wow.
This is nothing new. It's manipulation of lead vocals has just been around since popular music has been popular.
Right. Hey, hold that thought, folks. We're going to be back here with Craig Bartock, lead guitarist of Heart, in just a few minutes here on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.